everybody, welcome back. I'm continuing with my subscribers special in which I play against players on Chess24. Hopefully my subscribers, because this is for my subscribers, but I believe I played against a couple and now I will continue. So let's see. I accepted challenge by DRiti96 from Germany, and let's try another d4 game. Alright, and I just want to try out this Jobava variation one more time. Maybe not one more time, we'll see how many more often I want to try this out, because I like to get slightly different positions. And here c5 is not advised, because this one of the main ideas placing bishop on f4 is that the knight goes to b5 and knight c7 is really unpleasant, and black has to play knight a6, but then he has a really difficult time getting the knight away from b5. Alright, take with the e-pawn, and now I'll just develop my pieces naturally. Knight h5, I can take this knight. Yeah, he just plundered this piece. He missed that the queen was covering the square. And well, now I'm just up a piece, and he is facing a really difficult task, of course. No, this is just lost. I'm having a question from Coriamon. Are you only taking 3-minute challenges? Not only, but mainly, simply because I'm still having so many challenges, and I want to play against as many people as I can, so it just makes the most sense to play 3 minutes, because it's faster. Okay, so as you can see, I'm trying to get to his king as fast as I can, opening up the H file here. And now can I take on H7? Bishop takes F4. Doesn't seem to be completely clear. Well, I'll just develop 92. Why take any risks? But now I should be able to take. Takes an F4 again. Whatever. I'll just play Queen G4. It's maybe not running a little bit into E5. Maybe after bishop takes f4 I should really take on h7 then, because knight takes f4 runs into e5. I didn't pay too much attention here. I mean, you have to watch out in these games when you're up early a piece, because you don't take the game as serious anymore, obviously, because just winning in any imaginable way. Maybe bishop takes f4, bishop takes g6 I should play. Okay, I mean, just giving me a bishop on g5 is obviously not helping black's position at all, and I expect him to resign him now. I expect him to resign. Rook f5, just dropping some more material, but okay. Okay, now he has resigned. Yeah, well, the mistake was clearly knight h5 here, but still already black is having slightly worse position, just because my knight on b5 is quite unpleasant, and black is having a difficult task getting this knight away from b5. Okay. I'll accept the challenge by Zwubel. Sounds like Zwubel, which is onion in German, but just slightly different. Okay, d4. Let's play another d5 game. Knight f3, knight f6. I want to get into an accepted queen's gambit. Here we go. Has been a while since I played this line. It's really solid, unless white plays knight c3. Now we will have some more tactical positions. As far as I remember, it has been a long time. e3. I think e4 is more ambitious. But then again, I don't know as much about all these possible moves here. Okay, I'll just protect this one. And at least his knight is misplaced on a2 for the moment. And now I'll just develop my pieces in a natural fashion, and I think that worked out fine. He wants to regroup his knight? No. Knight c1, knight b3 would have been what I expected, but now his knight, okay, he can still go to d3. And I have to play with c5 at some point. The question is just when. Or e5. But c5 appears to be more natural. And now I think it's the right point in time to play c5. Knight d3. Okay, I placed my knight on e4. It's a very nice square for the knight. And the position is symmetrical, but I have the slight advantage of more space on the queen side, so I believe I have a slight edge here. Okay, this just has to work here. This just has to work. This is just winning here. It's a very common motive. Check, check, and now, okay, now I can simply go give a check here. King h2 was a little bit more resistant. In the worst case, I could even take on d2, and I would be also just winning. So clearly the losing move for white was knight d4, giving up the defense of the king side, and then sometimes moves like that are punished pretty quickly. Yeah, white should play, let's say queen e2 would be a natural move. Bring the rook to d1, or rook ed1, rook ac1. Black is better, no question. Could even consider something like that. I have the bishop here, I have possibilities against the white king, and I'm better here. Okay. Okay, coriamon. He asked me in the chat if I only play 5 minutes game. Now he has challenged me for a 3-minute game, and why not? Let's go for it. And I'm up to play another gambit. Well, no, I'm not playing a gambit. After bishop c5, I want to play the evens gambit. As many of you already know, one of my favorite openings, because just results in some really sharp variations. Okay, this is all well-known theory, and I think there's some problems black has to solve here. Especially oftentimes white is able to push his king side majority. B takes c6, the main move. Bishop takes c6 is certainly also possible. I looked at this recently. Well, let me see how this goes. Bishop e3. Bishop c5. Okay. Now I could take on c6, take on c5 if I want to. But I don't want to really at this point. There are also always ideas to play with f3, so I will have an eye on that. I think f3 is appropriate now. Just winning in tempo pretty much. If he goes to g5, I can play f4. He takes on d4. That wasn't necessary. And that's certainly a move I like to see at this point. Now g5. Going to e6 probably. Maybe I should have taken back with the bishop. But in either case, knight c3, knight e6, queen g4, d4 is not a problem because I can play rook 81. At least I'm hoping I can. Otherwise I would be in some trouble. But I guess black is still fine. I would have expected maybe a move like f5. Now he cannot play f5 anymore. Usually black likes to play f6 or f5 to ease in his position a little bit. Because otherwise, if I am able to advance with f4, f5, like I might do right now, then it can oftentimes become dangerous pretty quickly. d4 is... I'm a little bit worried about d4. If I play f4, he takes and plays queen c5. This looked like he's getting a lot of counterplay, and I didn't want to allow that, so I played this move. Now d4 is not a threat yet, but it might be coming up, so knight e2, bishop b5. Bishop h6, is that doing me any good? Not really. Let's play a bishop back to c1. And if he plays d4, I can always place my knight on e4, and he pretty much has to take this knight, unless he wants to allow knight f6 and so on. For my viewers, I have played against some of you already in my first subscriber special, which was in German. So if I have played against you back then, of course I will first play against people I have not played yet. So just be patient, or well, I'm sorry about that, but of course I want to be fair and play against people I haven't played before. Because I was just reading the chat and you're talking about how long it takes. And well, yeah, I mean, I can only play one game at a time, and this is why it takes a long time. So now I'm ready to advance my pawns finally with f5, f6. He could play something like rook d5 to really stop that, but he doesn't. He wants to play knight d6, I guess, but this is not really bothering me. I mean, I cannot take on d6, but I can just move my queen, and then he hasn't won anything. So he plays f6, but this is of course giving me a protected pass pawn, which is advanced a lot. Already reached e6, and now I just have a huge structural advantage, and I'm still going to try somehow to attack his king. And of course he's running low on time, which is another problem in his position right now. A big problem. Rook h3, queen h5 might be coming up. He just ran out of time. I think the position was equal for a long time. Bishop takes d4 wasn't necessary, because after knight g5, knight takes c6, black can take on e3 with check, so it doesn't work. It's not a threat yet. Knight e6. I think, well, here f5 is certainly an option. I think a really decent option, honestly, because e takes f6, queen takes f6, d4 is still in a position, and this looks fine, so I might need to move my queen, but if I move my queen, then again, where should I move it in the first place? Then again, d4 might really become a move which is possible. And black is doing pretty fine here, I believe. Alright, let's go to the next game. I'll play against MoechtegernGM, which is German and stands for wannabe GM. Alright, who doesn't want to be a GM? Okay. Yeah, so I've been playing for 2 hours now. It's been fun, but I notice I'm slowly getting a little bit tired talking the whole time. But let's go on for a little bit, I would say. I know there's still a lot of people out there who I haven't had a chance to play yet, still having about, I would say, 15 challenges, 10 to 15, and let's see. Okay, I played c5 all day long here in this subscriber special, so let's go for something else. And he challenges me with the King's Gambit, and I don't even dare to accept it. I play d5, which I believe is the most solid approach against the King's Gambit. But it's funny that actually I am faced with the King's Gambit, which I've been playing myself a lot. Castle. I only know bishop b3. I guess I also play bishop e6 here. This shouldn't be wrong. Now moves like knight e3 are in the position. The pawn, bishop on c4 is unprotected, so he has to go back bishop b3. Or okay, he does, and now c5. And I actually had this in one of my own games. I think it was one of the Blitz and Talk games. Played the same position with white, and I believe this is a really good approach to handle the King's Gambit. Knight c3. Alright. I can take on c3, or I cannot take on c3. I don't take on c3. This seemed to just maybe help him out, open his bishop, or protect, further support his center. So c3. This really asks me to play c4. Well, c4 didn't seem to be that helpful, so I just finished my development, and I don't think I have any worries here. Of course he regains the pawn, but I'm not under any pressure, and I believe my position is slightly preferable. Okay, bishop takes f4. I can probably take on d4, but he takes and I take back with check. And now I probably will try to somehow hold my extra pawn. I don't quite know how yet, but I will try to. And what my plan was queen c7 now, protecting both the pawn on b7 and the pawn on f4. Queen c4 can be answered with bishop d6 or bishop e3. Difficult choice. Now bishop d6 seems more logical. Because of bishop e3 I would just help him to develop his bishop. And I wasn't sure if I was able to hold the pawn on e3. Alright, so I've secured an extra pawn. Still, it is anything but easy to make more out of it. Okay, b5 is also an option for me now. If he plays a4, I could still play b5. Some tactics here. Because then his queen is hanging and his rook is hanging. So he plays knight d4. Okay, and I take. And now he will exchange queens, most likely. And we reach this endgame, and I have still an extra pawn. I play g5, now it's very possible, of course, because my king in the endgame is not as weak. I mean, it cannot as easily be attacked without queens, so I'm not afraid. I had a g3. He really wants to break through. I see. I believe it's time to get my rook into play and attack this pawn on d4. Okay, I take his king, I say, is weaker than my king. And I can also collect another pawn on b4. But probably I will just go for the king attack here, because his pieces are still underdeveloped, and I can, I would say, initiate an attack really fast here. Okay, give a check. I could also, oh, this looks like winning immediately here, winning a rook c2. He can still play. He can still play. Okay, he doesn't, but now I'm just winning the piece, and this is over. Gives a check. Okay. This is over. Of course, he can try with short amount of time still to play on, but objectively, obviously, it's all over here for white. Check, rook back, check. Okay, and I won on time, but the position obviously is also winning. Let's see, I believe white should just take back the pawn at some point instead of, let's go back. Here, probably bishop takes f4. I wanted to take on d4 most likely, c takes d4, bishop takes b3, a takes b3. Of course, this is not a pretty position, clearly. But at least white is not down a pawn at this point. Okay, let's go to the next game. RavenkB from the United Kingdom. I really need somebody here to massage my neck while I'm playing. That would be awesome. But okay. Alright, so you guys are asking if I'm also playing bullet. Sure, I mean, we can play bullet game. It would mix up things a little bit. So just challenge me. Let's see what else you guys asked while we're waiting here. Okay, he played his first move. A3. Okay. He certainly doesn't want to fight any theoretical battles here at this point. And now we kind of, what do we have? Like a Scandinavian with reversed colors? Kind of. Okay, knight c6 and bishop b5. I don't have any clue about this position, but I'll just play what seems normal to me, and I think I'm doing fine here. Okay, now the queen is hanging, so he will take on c6. What else can he do? And e5, knight e4. Now if bishop c5 is a threat, so I expect him to take on e4, and I have the bishop here. Position is symmetrical, but certainly slightly better for me. Oh, he allows bishop c5. This is a common motive. If the knight is on e4, a bishop comes to c5 and problems arise on f2. So he probably missed that. And now knight takes f2, and I just win a whole rook. Okay, and he has resigned. That was a quick one. Just knight g2 was simply a mistake. He should take on e4. He could exchange queens or not. Let's say queen c3 maybe. Should be 7, knight e2. Not too much has happened here, clearly. I believe I'm slightly better. But not too much is going on. Okay. Let's go to next one. Vidius. And what have I... Let's try knight f3. I haven't played this move yet today. And why not try something new? All right. Okay, I'm just reading through the chat at the moment. Yeah, I mean, some of you saying you're waiting for a long time. As I said, I can't do anything really. All right. Okay, I think this is taking a little bit too long. I will go to the next game after taking a sip. Oh, there we go. I could not transpose with e4, but this would be lame. So I'll play c4. And kind of have no idea how this is going. I know there's some lines where you can go with d4 at some point. It's kind of a Morochi structure, but I guess I'll just find out and see what happens. So d4, he takes. Sometimes black can sacrifice with knight c6. He plays queen c7. Is he attacking this pawn? I guess he is. So I'll just defend with b3. I honestly have no clue about this position. I've never played this before in my life. But I just played natural moves here. I hope there are no tactics along the long diagonal, but doesn't look like. And I know that knight d5 could very much be a threat now. I believe it is a threat, and it will be my next move, unless he takes. And he does. And now I have also a beautiful tactic here. I was hoping for something like that. And oh, knight takes e7. No, no. That would have ended the game a little bit faster. There was immediate checkmate. Well, we can try again, but I guess he will see it now. Yes, he does. He could also resign here, of course, with being down a piece, but this way the game is going on for a little bit longer, and I have to apologize. I missed it. I missed the checkmate. I was too fast grabbing the queen. Okay, so I take here. So I c5. c7 looks good. Take. Okay. c6. Rook d1. Okay, this should be over fairly soon. And rook d7. Okay. Do we really have to play this till the end here? I don't hope so, but it looks like we will. Okay, let me get a queen real quick and then we can finish this up. Okay, check, check, and checkmate. Alright, yeah, I should have mated him. It would have made things a little bit easier. Let's just go back. At this point, here he cannot play knight d7 because, as you saw in the game, it just loses. Knight d5 is still a threat, so maybe a move like queen d8 so he can play after knight d5, queen h5, but still, obviously this is better for me. And then after knight d5, king g8, I should of course just mate him with knight takes e7. Okay, next game. Sub.freedom. I'll play again. Against. Sub.freedom from Germany. So while we're waiting, I can take a look in the chat. I just see that's a coincidence. Sub.freedom also wrote in the chat that he would like to play. So now he just needs to see that I've accepted his challenge. Ravenkb, you're talking about our game, but at the moment I don't remember which game we played, so I have to look at this later. You have analyzed the opening more extensively than I have. That might well be. I don't know about which opening we're talking about. So let's focus on the present game, and we see a Nimze Indian. E3, this is certainly the main line, the Rubinstein variation. Another Rubinstein variation, we earlier saw a French Rubinstein. F3 is certainly not the main line. Main moves are knight g2 or knight f3. And here I think I can play with c5. And if he plays d5, we can in fact transpose to a variation also possible after 4 f3 instead of e3. Because we have both lost the tempo. He played e3 then e4, and I played b6 then b5. Now I just have to remember how this goes. b5 is the move here. And this is super tactical. And if I'm not mistaken, and I don't think I am, I can sacrifice a piece here with e takes d5. And if white doesn't know what he's doing here, this is incredibly dangerous for him. So now he has to play a3 followed by b4, which he does. But this is not a position you want to play with white in a 3-minute Blitz game. This is certainly for sure. Queen takes f6. Now sometimes I get connected past pawns. c2 is in a position. Queen d5. He knows what he's doing. I give a check. Rook e8. And king f2. And now I have to remember how this goes. I think bishop b7, but this would lead to a draw if bishop b7 was the right move. I'll just try b4. And I mean, in the Blitz game you can try anything. He grabs the rook, and now my ideas, or my hope was that his queen is trapped. So first let's give a check, and to bring the king out to g3 and then knight to c6. And I'm hoping to somehow get his queen. Still, he will have a lot of material, that's for sure. Oh, bishop f4 is coming. I didn't play that super smart, but okay. Queen e6, and now I just want to move my bishop and his queen will be trapped. Takes on b4, I take back. Maybe he can play a6 in case. He takes on c3, just needs to free up his position. But okay, now I got some material back. I play c5. It's probably a good approach. Bishop a6, he can take on e8 now. Yeah, not so easy. What am I going to do now? It's well played. Okay, I'll just c2, but is that helping me in any way? Not sure about that. No. No, I have to play bishop a6, but oh, he could even play rook e1 now, because I don't have to check anymore on g6. He doesn't do it, but this position is not really good for me. This is a good move again. Good move, well played. Yeah, no. Oh, bishop d6 is coming as well. My position is now pretty horrible. And I just have to hope that... Oh, now he just covered the square. Oh my god. Yeah, okay. That was a horrible game. Well, not that horrible, but I wanted too much. I knew that I should go for perpetual after queen d5, bishop b7, queen takes b. No, not here. After king f2, bishop b7, queen takes b7, queen d4 check, king g3. This is how the perpetual goes, if I remember it correctly. Or did it go this way? Maybe it didn't. Queen e5, bishop f4 now. Okay, I certainly have to take a look at this position again. Probably I have to insert the move c2 here, rook a2, and now most likely bishop b7. This is probably the variation. Queen takes b7. d4, king g3. Because now after queen e5, bishop f4, I have queen e1. Okay, this is just way too complicated to analyze now in a few minutes, and who wants to can take a look into this. Okay. Some people here have been waiting for a long time. I accept the challenge by Jonas, period, Bender, period 319. And we see an opening we haven't seen before yet, f4, play knight h6. Kind of ridiculous move, but it has been working out for me fine in the past. And I don't like this bishop b5 coming here, so I play a6. Wasn't my intention to play b5, so he didn't have to play a4, but... And the whole point of knight h6 is that the knight can go to f5 in the future. And d4, e4. Okay, I guess I finished my development. Bishop e7. Oh, g4. But g4, maybe bishop f6 is still possible. Otherwise my pawn will be hanging on g7. And now I just exchanged this bishop. It's annoying me on a long diagonal, so let's exchange it. Knight a3. And do I want to allow g4 or not? That's the question. I do allow it. If he plays it, it's also weakening his own position. So he plays bishop d3. And I just finish my development, pretty much. Nothing special out of the opening, just a normal position more or less. Knight on a3 is a little bit misplaced. Maybe in some ways I can play e5 in the future. Of course I have to prepare it so I don't Knight e5. What's going on now? I thought I could take this one and take again. I don't see a reason why not to. Yeah, now he just gave me a pawn pretty much. Queen g4. Anything threatening? I don't think so. Okay. I just played g6. Bring my queen back here to g7. Keep it on a long diagonal. And then in the future I want to play with e5, e4 and so on. If he allows me to. Oh! I grabbed this rook. It's good I kept my queen on a long diagonal. Yeah, always have to watch out for that. Okay. Okay, and he resigned. So, I think here if he doesn't play knight e5, which is just pretty much dropping a pawn, position might be still about... Nah, I should be better here certainly, but it's not that much. This knight on a3 is just misplaced, maybe something like c3. But instead of knight a3, instead of placing a knight there, I think c3 immediately with the idea maybe in the future to go d4. Still, it's not easy. A knight on f5 is oftentimes unpleasant for white. Okay. I accept a challenge by Urisa from Spain. And I play with the white pieces and let's have another e4 game. And so many French games today. Unbelievable. Why is everybody playing the French? But at least we're again having a different variation. Plays bishop e7. We saw knight f6 and d takes e4 before. Here bishop d3 is, I think, a good try. And now actually he transposes more or less to knight f6 directly, which I don't think was his plan. But now I can have the same really harmonious setup again with the knights on e2 and d2, and if I want to I can even support my position with f4 or bring the other knight to f3. a6, f4. Okay, I'd rather bring my pieces over here. Knight f4, knight h5, ideas like that. And g5. Wow. I did not see this coming. Very double-edged because clearly now he cannot castle kingside anymore. And I play my knight back to e1 and I want to play f4 now. Of course, as fast as I can, open up the position to attack his king, more or less. Queen b6, attacking the pawn on d4, and you know what, he can have the pawn on b2. He can have it, I mean, if he wants to. And then I just want to play f4 quickly and somehow create threats against his king. Of course, I do have to be careful not that he takes too many pawns here and then I'm suddenly lost. But let's have some fun. It's a 3-minute game, not a lot of time, and usually if you're attacking, it's difficult for the other player to defend. To defend usually takes some more time. He takes another pawn, rook c1, and now I want to play queen to h5. Could also play knight c2 first. Knight c2 first seems a little bit smarter, just it's more harmonious. And now queen h5. Now it was about time. Knight takes e6 is threatening. The pawn on f7 could be possibly weak, and I'm curious how he's going to defend. Okay, so he has defended the pawn on e6, but the pawn on f7 is still definitely a target. The question is how. And I guess I take on d5, because if he takes, I can take with check, take here with check if I want to, or I can play queen g7, winning the rook on h8. I just win the rook. I like to get my material back, so this seems to be the most appropriate for me right now. He has, well, knight g6 I would just take, so it doesn't help him. And he just finishes his development, which is definitely a good choice. Because he's only down in exchange, and he has, well, he has taken a couple pawns, but I have also taken a couple pawns, so we're actually equal on pawns, and I'm just up in exchange. But still, the game's not over yet. Of course, we're both not having too much time, and we'll see how this continues here. Knight e6. Okay, queen f7. King d7, I can play rook f6. He plays knight d8, and now I just take on h7. He grabs another pawn. Oh, rook f7 I shouldn't do. Yeah, bishop g5. Okay, rook back to threat. Rook, bishop takes e7. Okay, take this one. King h1. I don't know if this worked out too well here for me, but I'm in the attack and he has to defend. Queen takes d4. This should be really good for me now. Knight f5. Okay, this is too much. He cannot take this pawn. I cannot believe this. What is going on? Oh, mate. Oh, I have to watch out. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, my time's running low. No, I can't believe this. What's happening? This is unbelievable. Really? I can't believe this worked. So I have to play really fast to somehow win on time here, but yeah, I won on time, but I'm not happy about what I did. I mean, I was completely winning, and then with one move I pretty much gave it out of my hands. Suddenly he played rook h8 and I had no move. This is... Man. Maybe knight takes e7 here, but still rook h8. Rook h8 is always coming. Okay, this must have been completely winning. For example, rook d1 is also not clear. Maybe e6. I cannot believe. Maybe knight takes c4. There must be a lot of ways, because with his open king, it just has to be over. All right. I will take one more short break, and then we'll have one more session, and then we'll call it a day, I would say. So stay tuned. I'll be back in just a couple of minutes.